Hello and welcome to Seminar 3, which is how to write an emotionally intelligent covering letter. Why emotionally intelligent? Why does it have to be that? Why do I describe it that way? It's because people make decisions based a lot on their emotions, much more than they think. It's not a purely rational process. And so the person who writes an emotionally intelligent covering letter that's not just full of facts, that speaks to people's feelings is going to be ahead in the competition. So as usual, this is a really quick overview. There are more resources linked below, and so let's go. So a big question that I get asked a lot is, what's the difference between a covering letter and a CV? So a CV matches your skills to the role. So if you're a good communicator and the job that you're going for requires good communication skills, or you're a good negotiator and your job requires negotiation skills, that's what goes into your CV. The covering letter, a lot of people make a mistake and basically repeat everything they've said in their CV in their covering letter. Obviously, that's kind of not a good idea. Repetition isn't a good idea because it wastes everybody's time. So a covering letter matches you to the company. So if you're going for, we're going to use the example of a nurse later on, you could go for lots of different positions and probably use the same CV because the job is the same. But the covering letter is going to be different because all the different organisations you want to work for are different. So same position, same type of position, different company. So the CV can be the same because it's about your skills and experience, but the covering letter is going to be specifically for the company that you're going for. And the more you can match to the company, the more interested they're going to be in you. And so if you remember what we talked about in the CV segment, the two things that you always have to demonstrate are, do you understand me and can you help me? And so what the covering letter does is show, I understand you, I understand your company, I understand your organisation, I understand what you're trying to do. And then the CV shows that you can actually follow through with that, you can actually deliver what you say you're able to do. So that's how they both work together. Do you understand me is answered by the covering letter, and can you help me it is covered in the CV. So how do we do that? The quickest way to do this is to remember that mission statements are your friend. So mission statements, they can be a bit useless sometimes. Some organisations, it really doesn't feel like they've put a lot of thought into it, but some of them are really useful. In any case, they're always going to help you write your covering letter because you need to speak the organisation's language, and the mission statement is going to give you that language. So let's do an example with the NHS. If you want to work for the NHS, we're going to look up their mission statement, and this is going to take 30 seconds of research. Just Google NHS mission statement, and you're going to find this. To provide care and services that we and our families would want to use. Now, this one is quite nice. As I said, some mission statements are really boring, or you feel like you've heard it all before. It could be any company, but this is actually really nice. It feels like quite a bit of thought has gone into this. And so what it's given you in probably under 30 seconds of research is a huge amount that you can work with. So let's see what you can do with this. So keep this in your mind: to provide care and services that we and our families would want to use. What are the words that stand out there? So if we're talking about emotional intelligence, for me, words that stand out are care, obviously, and families. I think that's really interesting. So let's see how you can use that to make them interested in you. So let's compare what a lot of people will say in their covering letter. I'm a highly experienced nurse. Now, obviously, there's nothing wrong with being highly experienced. It's a very good thing. But don't forget, this is what everyone's going to say. So when your future employer is looking at 100 CVs and sees everyone saying the same thing, or all of the covering letters saying the same thing, there's nothing helpful about this. It's useful, interesting. It's important information, but that doesn't mean it's doing the job you need it to do. So how do you say this in their language? So remember what they've said their mission is and compare I'm a highly experienced nurse to this. I treat every patient as if they're my great aunt Mildred, with care, compassion, and most of all, respect. So this is now really speaking that language of family. You can see Aunt Mildred is there straight away, and that jumps out at me. That makes me feel, oh, this person really understands that care and compassion is important. Family, treating people like family is important. And so remember what happens when people look at covering letters and CVs. So often there's a group of them, maybe 2, 3, 4 people, all with this huge pile of covering letters and CVs, deciding which CVs to look at. No one's going to say, oh, remember that highly experienced nurse one, because everyone's going to say that in their covering letter. But you are almost certainly the only person who talks about great Aunt Mildred. So when they're deciding who to look at, they're going to say to each other, oh, let's have another look at that Aunt Mildred one. So you've given them something to kind of hold on to about you, and you've just really helped them out a lot to remember you, to remember your application. Now, a lot of people are quite uncomfortable about the one on the right. They like the sound of it. They know that it's interesting, but it is out of people's comfort zone. You've been taught to talk about yourself, the person on the left, in this very kind of blend in sort of way. Oh, just use these keywords, just talk about yourself in this very bland, clinical way. And so the one on the right is going to feel a bit uncomfortable to you, probably. But the question you need to ask yourself is not, do I like this? It's, which one is going to work? And what works in a covering letter is, will they remember this? Will they want to read my CV? Will they want to read more about how you treat people like your great Aunt Mildred? Do you really have the experience to back this up? And then they're going to look at your CV to check. And that's all your covering letter needs to do, is make them look at your CV. Then they're going to be satisfied. You understand me and you can help me, and they're going to want to meet you. So you can either write the Jason Bourne of covering letters or the Mr. Bean of covering letters. It's up to you, but hopefully you have what you need to just start thinking about how to write the Jason Bourne version. So well done, good luck, and see you next time.